Big changes as we head into this work week. We've got a front dropping in from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it will bring us some periods of very heavy rain. So let me get you ready for the start of the work week and walk you through what we can expect for the next 7 days too. 93 degrees will be the high temperature for today. The showers are going to hold off for much of the day, so we'll be dealing with plenty of sunshine and lots of humidity. That's why it'll be a little bit warmer than it was yesterday. Rain chances by the 2 o'clock hour, 30% still. By 4, we'll start to increase those rain chances. Best rain chances will happen late this evening and into the overnight hours as temperatures now dropping off into the low 80s, upper 70s. So this morning, Dallas-Fort Worth area has dealt with plenty of flash flood warnings. We'll continue to see that potential as we progress throughout the day. This front is going to stall in several areas. The areas shaded there in green under a flood advisory, and we've got some flood risk of our own here in southeast Texas too, though you'll notice the biggest risk will be focused north and areas northeast of us with a moderate risk for flooding today. Locally, we have a slight risk, 15% for our northern counties. So I'm talking about Walker, a portion of Montgomery, San Jacinto Polk, as well as Grimes, and just a sliver of Waller there too. Everyone else, for the most part, going to be under a marginal risk. That means 5% chance to see a street flooding event happen here. That flood potential expands and intensifies into tomorrow. That's to be expected if we're going to have back-to-back rainy days. Well, the ground gets oversaturated and then there's spillover. So there's excess water that our roads, our streets cannot handle. So we'll be watching for that closely. We also have a slight severe threat today, marginal risk. So a level 1 on the 1 to 5 scale. And that's going to be for our northern and northwestern counties for the most part. So we're going to see Washington, part of Austin, Grimes, Waller, Montgomery, a little part of Harris there too, Walker, San Jacinto, a little part of Liberty and Polk too. The main threat for you will be a period of gusty wind along with the push of this front. And of course, like I mentioned, with torrential rain comes that potential for street flooding. Now, the tornado risk is not zero. It's unlikely, but we'll be watching radar to see if this front sparks up any rotation. We'll be watching that closely for you throughout the day and into the overnight hours too. Okay, what does Futuretrack show us in terms of how these storms are going to push in and develop? So like I mentioned, most of the day, stay fairly quiet. A couple of isolated spot showers definitely possible, especially with a sea breeze, but the main front, that lifting mechanism, the bulldozer to scoop up all that moisture, is going to come in a little bit later on tonight. In fact, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we'll see the first kind of burst of energy. This isn't the main cold front, but it is going to fire off some thunder showers by the time you're potentially having dinner. Hopefully lots of you are already home by this hour, so you shouldn't run into too treacherous of driving conditions. During the overnight hours, some of these storms might wake you up though, because they will be dumping down some heavy rain, and those raindrops will be big. They're tropical in nature, so they'll definitely bring us some substantial rainfall totals. And like I mentioned, with the push of the front, we could definitely see some gusty winds, 30, 40 mile an hour winds, not out of the question there. We could potentially even see some 50 mile an hour winds. That front is going to stall here though over the next few days, so that's why we have some accumulation to talk about, which is good for drought conditions. We just don't want to see all that rain coming in all at once, and that gives us the hazards for street flooding. Okay, we have the potential for 2 to 4 inches of widespread rain. That's an average. So some spots that see a thunder shower park over the same area repeatedly could pick up more than that, maybe much more than that, 5-6 inches of rain. Some other spots that get missed by those heavier rain bands, we'll see a little less than that, potentially just an inch. But any inches we can get will be really good news, especially because at Bush, we need just about 5 inches or so to catch up with the year-to-date rain. This month has been very beneficial. We've had more than 5 inches of rainfall, when on average, we typically only see about 2 inches and a quarter. But we still need much more. We need around 10 to 15 inches of rain for most spots. That's how far behind we are. The good news is it's looking like a wet weather pattern, not just for this week, but for the following week and the week after that. Could we be aided by some tropical moisture? It's a possibility, a very small possibility right now. We're watching this tropical wave that has pushed off the west coast of Africa, now making its way towards the central Atlantic. 20% chance of development over the next 5 days, not a concern for the next 2 days. 7-day forecast, we're keeping those rain chances steady through this coming weekend. Though the best chances to see rain will be Tuesday and Wednesday. Notice temperatures both of these days will cap off in the 80s. We stay in the upper 80s through Thursday and then get back to those low 90s. You're going to want to make sure you keep up with the forecast as we prepare for this front to push in. We will be live on air and on social media all week long.